wait a minute, what's this? Is my face evenly lit up? And is the things lit up? And I also got those. And don't I also have a sweet new haircut? And where did my glasses go? Like I said, lots of things have happened since I last made a video. But, holy smokes, 2020 is finally over. It's like 10 o'clock when I'm recording this. On New Year's Eve. So let's go through all the movies I have at the end of the worst year of existence. Actually, before we fully get into it, I just want to say, this year has been a mess and all, but instead of spending my money on going to the movies, I end up buying lots of Blu-rays. And so my collection doubled, actually, since my last video. So, since last year, not the last video, but last year when I did my Blu-ray collection, I also reorganized it. It's a lot more nice and organized, and things are better. So, what's a better way to start than with The Breakfast Club? John Hughes is my favorite director by like a long shot, and this might be his best. And actually, this was in last year's video, but this is actually not a VHS. It's just this cool VHS packaging. I also have Jaws in that packaging. Talking about Jaws in that packaging, we have Jaws in that packaging. This is such a good flick. It's the one that introduced Steven Spielberg and made him a threat. Now he's probably one of the most critically acclaimed directors of all time. And, you know, you watch this and it clearly shows he is just such a brilliant director. And, well, he's not my favorite. Hughes is. From here and a couple other movies in this collection. It is so compelling, and I love this film and almost a lot of his work. He's a very, very talented filmmaker. Okay, next up, we have American Graffiti. I really like this movie. I don't think people talk about it enough. Whenever I hear people talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, that's the movie that basically made Star Wars able to happen. Yeah, Star Wars is a lot better than this and is a lot more impactful. This is still such a great film by George Lucas. So honestly, if you haven't checked this one out, go check it out. Especially if you are similar to me and I'm a huge Hughes fan and love strong characters. That's probably the thing I actually look for the most in movies. I love those strong characters. Go check this one out. American Graffiti. Next, you have The Ant Bully. This is one of the biggest disappointments ever, honestly, I experienced, because I was gifted to me like a long time ago. Then last year, I was like, oh wait, this was gifted to me. It's technically mine. I could put it on my shelf, and it's Blu-ray. So I did that. I was like, actually, I also want to watch it, because sometimes it's fun to watch movies like, wow, that's really bad. Disappointment, though, it was bad and all, but like it's just kind of boring and forgettable. But it's here anyways. Talking about, maybe not boring, but forgettable, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp. I love Paul Rudd. I think he's a great actor. Super compelling. But I noticed, actually, kind of that gap of MCU between Infinity War and Endgame. It's kind of boring and forgettable-ish. It's probably just the most meh out of all the MCU, with this and Captain Marvel. Anyways, it's still a fun ride. Pretty funny. The jokes land. The plot is kind of whatever. But now we have Avengers Age of Ultron. I really like Avengers Age of Ultron, actually. I'd probably say, sadly, the worst Avengers movie. But that doesn't mean it's still great. Crap, who was this directed by? Still by Joss Whedon, who did the first Avengers. And I actually share a birthday with. So that's cool and fun. And, you know, this movie is actually pretty important because it sets up a lot of that stuff that we see in Infinity War and Endgame. And I think it's a fun ride along the way. Anyways, let's talk about some upgrades here. Then you got Infinity War. Actually, I have the first Avengers and Endgame, but they're just downstairs because they're technically not mine. But, so, now this is absolutely amazing. What's great is it just had so much stuff to develop the characters. So you don't need any character development. Like I said earlier, I love strong characters. So I already love these characters, and so now we have the ability to put in so many characters. And it just, I love Thanos as a villain is absolutely stellar. Probably one of the best villains, but the best villain of all time is actually going to come up a bit later. Okay. Okay, Back to the Future trilogy, 25th anniversary edition. I'm going to talk a bit more about Back to the Future a bit later. This is the entire trilogy. Quick backstory, actually. This copy is falling apart, and recently we got a new release of Back to the Future in 4K. So let's talk a bit more about Back to the Future. In this beautiful 4K box set in steelbook, put them all together, it forms the car. It's pretty dope. This franchise is the reason, mainly Back to the Future Part 1, but this franchise is basically the reason I love movies so much. In like 2018, I kind of had a bit of a tough time. I was really starting to, going through my own coming of age story. And one day I was super low because of certain events. And I was like, hey, look, Back to the Future. I haven't seen this movie in forever since I first watched it when I was like 5. So I plugged it in. I was like, wow, that's really good. I watched the second one right after. My first marathon ever. And then kind of during that 2018, I was like, holy smokes, I love movies. Movies is, my thing. And so, like I said, this is my favorite movie of all time. And you know what? I love the second. I love these two. Honestly, when you think about it, lots of trilogies have basically what the Back to the Future Part 2, where it's not exactly its own thing. It's more of a, let's get from point A to point B. And I think this is one of the best representations of that when it's actually really good. Still my least favorite of the trilogy. I love Westerns now, and it's all thanks to Back to the Future Part 3. Anyways, yeah, so I got them all in this nice steelbook, 4K, super dope. And it was released just this year, and people say 2020 was the worst. I would beg to differ just because we got Back to the Future in 4K and steelbook. And I love Back to the Future. I have just the strong emotional connection to it. It's the basis of my love of movies now. Honestly, it all started back with this trilogy, and I've seen it way too many times, but I still love it more and more. Every single time I will rewatch it. Next up, we got Beetlejuice. You know what? This is so cool. Honestly, this is probably my favorite Burton film. As you can see, because it's the only Burton film I have in here. Tim Burton has just such a clear, style, and this is such a great, it's amazingly casted. Michael Keaton especially, so great. And like, Michael Keaton has a lot of really good roles. Actually, we have like another Michael Keaton movie, which is my favorite role of him. This is definitely my second favorite out of all of the Michael Keaton roles, which there's a lot. Next, we have Black Panther. Okay, so last year, actually, when I was going through my Blu-ray collection, I said, I don't fully get the hype. Over the summer, I watched all the MCU movies, and this was a clear standout, and I was like, holy smokes, this is really good. The story and the characters are so in-depth and human. I love it. Sadly, when it gets to the action, it really lacks, as in the CGI looks like it's from the 30s. And it's just gross to look at. Very recent pickup, but a movie I love. Book Smart. Okay, I could talk about this movie for more. I'm gonna make my complete other video just on Book Smart. As you can see, I really love. You'll see a lot more. I love teen comedies and dramas, but I love those, movies about high schoolers. This is something that clicks. I think, right, John Hughes is my favorite director. This is like such an awesome movie. I love it so much. And like, it's just it's kind of gives that Superbad vibe, but it says it in such a new fashion, and it's like a very modernized version of that, and it is so great. People might yell at me for this, but this has the best homosexual character in cinema history. I'm saying that, and I'm standing to that point. She's so good. Cars 2. Cars 2. Okay, next movie. Remember during Infinity War where I said Thanos is one of the best villains, but I'll talk about the best later. We have the Dark Knight Trilogy. Bane, not so much. I'm having a brain fart, but Liam Neeson and the Joker are so amazing as villains. Super compelling. This is some of Nolan's best. As you heard me say a lot, I love characters. And Nolan, he's a great director. But he's not much of a character director. He loves the huge action and thriller and amazing set pieces. So I always find this movies fun, but they don't touch me that well. But then these are the exceptions. The characters I find actually fleshed out. And it's such a good time. Okay. Despicable Me 2 and Minions. I recently rewatched this one, actually, because I felt like it. I watched the first one. I was like, this is fun and all. And I was like, let's see if the second one. I know this is definitely a bad movie. This movie is obnoxious. And I was like, okay, does the Despicable Me franchise go down at 1 or 2? Does it go down at 2 or Minions? And it goes down at Minions. Actually, I thought this one was about the same level of the first one. And, yeah, they're not like cinema masterpieces. But they're fun. They're pretty funny, pretty heartfelt. The characters are fun and all. Okay. So we're talking about just Despicable Me, goofy little franchise. But now we got Die Hard. I love Die Hard. Bruce Willis, so compelling. Okay, I heard so many good things about Alan Rickman, but all I really seen him as was Snape in the Harry Potter franchise until I watched this movie. And I was like, yeah, he's good and all. Like, isn't that good? Then I watched this, and I was like, holy smokes. This was just his first movie ever, actually. This was Alan Rickman's first film is Die Hard. It's Hans Gruber. And now it's going to be a movie I watch every single Christmas. Now we have E.T., the extraterrestrial, classic Spielberg. You love it. It's just pretty simple. The characters are compelling, like I said so many times. And it is just such a fun flick. I could watch it on repeat, maybe. But actually, yeah, it's a movie I probably actually haven't seen that often. Back to John Hughes and teen comedies. We have Ferris Buellers Day Off. Now, this is Hughes' best. Characters are so great. They're hyperbole, as lots of films are. Lots of films use hyperbole. This movie especially, but then, yeah, it's super hyperbole. You can't, honestly, if I take a day off, which I may have faked sick and not went to school, oh no, I just lay on the couch and watch this movie. But it's like, I watch, it's like, okay, those are emotions I have felt before. Next up, we have The Greatest Showman. I've said this, I think, a couple times, but I like this, actually, quite a bit. I first saw it, went on an airplane to California, I think. And I was like, this is really good, but I'm on a plane. It's a horrible way to view it. I saw it for like $10 at Walmart. I was like, I might as well pick that up. Okay. Now we have the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. This one is such a good one. One of the top 5 MCU films for me. It was also, in 2014, which is kind of when Chris Pratt went from Parks and Recreation to the absolute A-lister he is now. And this is probably one of the 2 big movies that done this and the Lego movie. This one, bit less. Kurt Russell is great, but his whole story is kind of weird and doesn't fully make sense. Doesn't have the strong motivation. Jokes land. Music's good. Story, not so good in my opinion. But next we have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and some other Harry Potter movies. Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, and The Two Deathly Hallows. Like I said earlier with Die Hard, Alan Rickman is so good in these. Actually, I was going to talk about these. I'm going to talk about Fantastic Beasts a bit later. Alan Rickman is so good in these, but it's like not... I don't think it's his best performance. Still absolutely amazing, though. Die Hard's his best performance, by the way. And, it's fun. The books are some of the best books out there. I've actually read them in like the 4th and 5th grade and watched the movies after, which I think is probably kind of the best way to experience it. And they're fun movies. Especially The Prisoner of Azkaban. Prisoner of Azkaban, so beautifully, it's great. It looks amazing. I think 5 till the end, kind of just dark and boring. But those first 3 is good. 4, it still has the essence of the other 3. But is, I think, probably the worst in the franchise. Anyways, now we have Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. I like this about half of it. Fun creatures, and then has some huge tonal problems, right? Because you have the fun creatures, whoa! And then you just child abuse. And it's like, okay. I think they could have made that transition a little better. I loved how Scamander is a small part of a bigger story, which I think Crimes of Grindelwald kind of takes that away. Next up, we have Jurassic Park. This is such a good movie. Best by Spielberg. I'll defend that for the rest of my life. And it's just, the effects are so amazing, especially for its time. Characters, like I said, I love characters. So compelling. Every single one of them. Even Dennis Nedry. So amazing. And what I really like about, there's kind of like, there's not an exact name for it, but it's like a genre, lots of horror. This as well, kind of Jaws, where at the beginning they'll give you like this cast of characters, and then they'll kill them off. You know, like the ones that are definitely going to survive, right? You know Alan Grant's going to survive, and probably Ellie, and definitely the kids. But everyone else, they're kind of up for grabs if they're going to live or not, which, even upon rewatch, it's super compelling, and it's a great way to really get you attached and worried about characters. Next up, we have Fallen Kingdom Jurassic World. I said that backwards because Yoda I am. I get it. It's pretty dumb, but it's also, I think, really fun. It just, the whole concept, it's pretty stupid. Well, the idea of the dinosaurs might die, that makes sense. But then it's like, why are you guys trying to rescue these? Honestly. And then they get what they deserve. I said this back during the Back to the Future, but very of a point A to point B film. So I'm super pumped for the third one. Hopefully coming out in 2021. Fingers crossed. But how things are going, we haven't gotten a movie since Onward. The Karate Kid. I love The Karate Kid. Like I said, great characters. I love characters. I think it might be the most important part of the film. And it just nails it. It got everything I love. It got the great characters, amazing story, fun and reasonable romance. And then it's wrapped up in this martial arts movie. And it just works works so well. Actually, I just watched that one this morning. Pumped for Cobra Kai season 3. Now we have The Labyrinth. I watched this. I watched this once when I got this, and actually, it's a movie I should probably rewatch because I thought it was super fun. It's cheesy, but you know that's part of the fun, right? You watch it, you're like, yeah, it's cheesy, and it looks amazing. David Bowie's in it, so that's kind of cool. Next up. Some people might disagree with my opinion on this one, but Midway. I liked it. I finally watched it for the first time just on Boxing Day. And I was like, yeah, the characters are pretty boring. The whole plot is pretty boring. It tries to do too much, but when you get in a couple of airplanes and go and do some cool combat, it's super entertaining. And also, the score and cinematography is pretty fun. But, like I said, I love characters, so that's a big downside. Next, we have Rocketman. This is one of the movies I actually bought before I've seen the movie. I won a few. Like, another one is... actually, I don't think we covered it, but I got a couple more up later in the line. This is a movie I just love. I think it takes the standard musician biopic flick and all that tropes, and it makes it compelling. what I notice is most of these biopics, they'll be like, okay, well, here's the scene with the main love interest. What's their big love song? Toss that one in here. This does that with Tiny Dancer, sadly. But with all of its music is used creatively. The music is used on a creative level similar to the creativity of Elton John himself, which made the Elton John and his music so popular. And so it works. I'm just gonna grab a whole bunch of movies here, move it down here. That pile's getting a bit high. Okay. Talking about movies I bought right before I've seen them. The first 3 Sharknadoes in this 3-pack. I found it for $6. And I was like, come on, that's $2 a film. So I was like, might as well buy it. First one, so fun. Second one, the first one but boring. Third one, stupid as hell. First one's these two are stupid as hell as well. But this takes it to another level. This is where you got like space, like, you know, and it's stupid as hell. I love it. I love every single second of these. The writing is atrocious. The effects make me want to puke. But who cares? Sharknado. You had me at hello. 16 candles. It's 16 candles. You love it. I love it. More John Hughes greatness. Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall. I've like, whenever I saw a movie, is like they are in that. Ever since I've seen The Breakfast Club for the first time, I was like, I want to go see that. And it always delivers. They are, I think especially those two have a very well dynamic, actually, which you don't really get to see much in The Breakfast Club, but in this one you see it quite a bit. And it's also hilarious, which that's important for a comedy. Now we have the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man movies. They're both super fun. I kind of, similar to with the Karate Kid earlier, it has, you know, what I love. Strong characters, fun, intriguing romance, all that stuff, but then it's wrapped up as a superhero movie. I don't view these as superhero movies. I view them as teen comedies that take place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it works in every sense of the word. A bit more. Spider-Man, we have Into the Spiderverse. This is so amazing. Like, honestly, when I watched the 2019 Oscars, this was the only choice. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Hell, for Best Picture, I thought all of the nominees were just mediocre. But then I was like, yeah, this is going to win Best Animated Picture. By far. Back to more teen comedies, if you don't know what my favorite genre is yet. We have Superbad. Like I said, you know, kind of it kind of started this entire genre, sort of Booksmart and The Good Boys, and films like that where it's teenagers try to get to a party. And there's a reason so many films are similar to it. Like, I love Booksmart because it still spices everything up and it's new and fresh while still having that familiarity of Superbad, which made me want to see it initially. And we're back, coming with the Thor movies. Not Thor, but we have The Dark World and Ragnarok. I don't want to talk about this movie. It's boring and forgettable. Most of the worst movie in the MCU. This, on the other hand, whew! It is so different. It's a completely different Thor that we have seen from Thor through to Age of Ultron. The dynamic between Thor and Hulk is compelling and fun. And it's got this super cool gladiator stuff going on. It's like, yeah, I dig that. That is dope. But it doesn't have any flaws. It's such a great film. I bet you've probably seen it. It's like, you know, because the MCU is like such a big thing, especially in modern movie industry. Next up we have Wayne's World. This one's fun. Great characters. Mike Myers. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun characters. It's goofy. But you know what? Sometimes from a comedy, you only just want is a good old solid laugh. It's It's only like pulls cheap laughs. The real laughs, I feel. Wreck-It Ralph. This movie is so good. The second one, not so much. This one, though, like I said, characters. I love character. I have no how many times I've said that in this video, but I love a character. And it's so great. It kind of has that, it has a vibe of, you know, kind of familiarity, kind of nostalgic-ish, but it's not really based on anything. And it's very original. This is probably my second favorite movie to come out of the third favorite movie to come out of Disney. And the other two I actually don't own. Anyways, to conclude the collection, we have Yesterday. I like it. It's fun, cool, great characters, fun romance. Most importantly, beautiful music because of the Beatles. Cool concept. I think, yeah, it had lots of potential, but I still love it anyways. Don't love it. I still solidly enjoy it anyways. And I probably will rewatch this every now and then. So anyways, that's the collection. And I have a huge suggestion for you. If you've used the internet, or have ever used the internet in your life, leave a like. Anyways, that's Caden returning after like a bajillion months or something. And I hope you guys enjoy. And I'll see you next time.